Welcome to the Church in the Wild podcast. You'll be hearing the words from worship from Sunday, November 2nd, 2025, where we begin our series entitled Good Grief. You can find out more about Church in the Wild and all of our upcoming events and programs at churchinthewild.org. Thanks for listening.
I'm not a scientist, I'm more of a philosopher, but there's a lot of philosophy in nature. So we're talking about change and grief this month and loss. So I think you've probably all heard the saying, there's only one thing in life that is constant, and that's change. Or death and taxes, either way, but change. And we learn to accept that, especially as we grow older. Young people are having, like the very young, have a hard time with change, I've noticed. But we kind of accept that as we get older because we change over time. And we experience lots of changes in our lives and in nature. Year after year, we see the cycle and it changes and it comes back around again. Change can often look and feel like a loss, but it's just a change. And we grieve some changes. There are some changes that we don't like at all, and we grieve those things. Like when the frost finally kills off the last flowers and it's just going to be cold for the next few months. And then in the spring, those flowers come back. Maybe not in the same places where you planted them, but they come back. Same thing when we see the falling leaves, we feel sad and have to keep reminding ourselves that they will be back again in April or May. When an organism goes extinct, that is a great loss. We grieve that loss, as we ought to do. But even so, the extinction of one species will often make room for another species to rise, another new creature, or one that is in very small number to increase in number. And my great example is dinosaurs. Because if dinosaurs had not gone extinct, we would not exist. We would not be humans in the way that we are now. We might be little tiny pygmy monkeys, but there would be far fewer mammals, period. No, it's not like in the cartoons at all. So here where we live, there are 4 seasons, and we're used to those cycles of change, from birth and new life to death and then rebirth. And the same is true for areas where there are only 2 seasons, the dry and the wet. They still see the changes, and those seasons shape the rhythm of life and death. So life and death equal change. Birth and growth equal change. I bet that little guy changes just about every day. And how many different sizes has he been since he was born? Yeah. And change can sometimes equal loss and bring grief of various kinds. But change also equals opportunity and a chance to share gratitude of various kinds. And I'm just going to close with a quote from Doctor Who, because I can. Everybody knows that everybody dies, but some days when the wind stands fair and the doctor comes to call, everybody lives. And we all do die. As my father was fond of saying, you've got to die of something. And yet we live on in a wide variety of ways, even so, because he lives on in all of us. Well,
Thank you.
We could call that Dolly Here's a Doctor Who.
Dolly here's a Doctor
yeah.
Who.
I'm here to hear it.
Yeah. Much wisdom. Ah, so now it's time for our poem. If Missy is ready to read that for us.
Hi, everybody. Today's poem is from Mary Oliver. It's titled In Blackwater Woods. Look, the trees are turning their own bodies into pillars of light, are giving off the rich fragrance of cinnamon and fulfillment. The long tapers of cattails are bursting and floating away over the blue shoulders of the ponds, and every pond, no matter what its name, is nameless now. Every year, everything I have ever learned in my lifetime leads back to this: the fires and the black river of loss, whose other side is salvation, whose meaning none of us will ever know. To live in this world, you must be able to do three things: to love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones, knowing your own life depends on it, and when the time comes to let it go, to let it go.
Hi there, I'm Marcia, and our wisdom today comes from Francis Weller's book, The Wild Edge of Sorrow, Rituals of Renewal and the Sacred Work of Grief. I have come to have deep faith in grief. I've come to see the way its moods call us back to soul. It is, in fact, one of the voices of the soul, asking us to face life's most difficult but essential teaching. Everything is a gift and nothing lasts. This is a painful truth. To accept this fact is to live on life's terms and not to try to deny the simple truth of loss, what the Buddhists call impermanence. When we acknowledge grief, we acknowledge that everything we love, we will lose, no exceptions. Now, of course, we want to argue this point, saying that we will keep in our hearts the love of those who depart this earth before us, our parents or our spouse or our children or our friends or, and yes, that is true. It is grief. However, that allows the heart to stay open to this love, to remember sweetly the ways these people touched our lives. It is only when we deny grief's entry into our lives that we begin to compress the breadth of our emotional experience and live shallowly. So we're going to respond to this reading. We enter into the sanctity of grief through impermanence. All that we love, we will lose. Everything is a gift. Nothing lasts.
But this month, we are diving into tough stuff. We are calling our theme for November Good Grief. Now, this is not a topic we're usually jumping to discuss, right? But it seems very, very necessary for us to address in our world today. Our culture does not have a healthy relationship with grief. I think we can all recognize that truth, yes? One day, though, I was really excited. I really do feel like the spirit infiltrated the algorithm of Spotify, and this song came on. It's by an artist whose name is Ale Blakely. And the song I found out was called Shame Song. And it just suddenly came on as I was listening to music, getting ready, and it stopped me in my tracks. These words. The chorus is like, I too deserve belonging. I too deserve to heal. I too deserve aliveness. I deserve to court the shadows. And I looked her up immediately because the song just like was like a strike of lightning for me. And I saw she was leading a song circle in Ithaca, which is not far from us, in like 2 weeks. So I said, okay, I should be going to that, I guess. So I bought a ticket, and actually Laura came with me. It was perfect. And we got to experience this incredible night of music. But in that night, she talked about this song, and all of the other songs from her most recent album were written about Francis Weller's 5 Gates of Grief, which I had never heard of before. And I thought, oh, that sounds, it was sort of like, you know, you want to dip your toe into that because it sounds intriguing, but it's a little scary at the same time. It's like a cold pot of water that I was invited into by this incredible artist. And she wrote this album based on these 5 gates of grief because she saw in her own life how much we needed grief practices, how much we needed communal music and other ways of engaging with grief. So Weller says, we heard his great wisdom from that wonderful book, The Wild Edge of Sorrow, and in it is where he outlines these 5 gates of grief. And he also says, just about grief in general, we are pushed down, overwhelmed by so much congested grief in our world today. The number 1 cause of death in this society is, anyone know? Congestive heart failure. Yes, heart disease. And so he asks, what is it that is congesting our hearts? It is more than plaque buildup in the arteries, more than high levels of cholesterol. We are burdened by undigested sorrows as well. Far too many of us suffer from broken hearts that remain unattended. But by understanding the grief that is held at these 5 gates, we may be able to compassionately meet it and in the right settings, allow the full expression of grief to be felt and honored. So that's what we're doing in a way. We're starting that process. I don't know that we will necessarily be getting to that full expression that he talked about in our group settings, but maybe we will. We'll see. But we're going to at least start by learning, educating ourselves, and understanding the entryways into grief. And the first gate of grief, the first place that we meet grief, is this fact: all that we love, we will lose. This is the first fundamental truth of Buddhism and the practice of impermanence in that philosophy. And accepting that truth is the first step towards nirvana, right? Towards, just accepting that all things will change. Nothing will ever stay the same forever.
You gotta die of something.
You gotta die of something. Yes. Accepting that is the first step on the path of enlightenment. And I was curious if you remember having this realization, probably as a child, right? That everybody you know is someday gonna die. Or I love the conversation I had with one of my kids was about the sun exploding someday and how that would just wipe out the earth altogether in a few millions of years. And so nothing would exist anymore. That's right. Yeah, exactly. Like it's this huge thought to this huge truth about reality that we often come to as children. And I was curious if anybody had a moment or that experience of like coming to terms with.
All the time.
All the time, but you never came to terms with it. Yeah.
I understand that you can grieve over many things, not only just people like who've died,
Yeah.
but also people that have like left your life, right?
Yeah.
Like I had a relationship. It wasn't a very healthy relationship, but nonetheless, when we parted ways, it was like very hurtful and I couldn't forget about her for a very long time. And I like prayed to spirit one day and I was just like, why? Like if she's no longer gonna be in my life, why can't I forget? And it was like a flash kind of like everything that she contributed to my journey and like leading up to where I was at that moment. And like she was meant to be in my life and she was also meant to leave my life. And it was just like an aha moment and it was beautiful. And I don't know if I fully accepted that like I'm always gonna like there's always gonna be loss, but I fully accepted that loss and it was very peaceful. Like there's a reason she was there and there was a reason why she left. Like
Yeah, thank you, Amy. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. So this realization, we all have to come to this realization, right? That what is here, we won't always have. And I thought as I was thinking about this, Marcia, I thought about your soul song. Do you remember? Yeah. Do you realize that everyone you know someday will die?
I just wrote that down.
Yeah. Yes. We could sing it. Yeah. That's a real thing. And I love that song because it's so like happy and like melodic. They're just, serving you the world's hardest truth. But it's true. And that is why grief work is so important. Because as you said, Amy, it's not just people dying, it's every loss, every change. Yes.
Small things like so I didn't say before, but like when I was a kid, I really thought about I knew early on that I was gonna die too. And that just was I had night terrors and screaming all the time for years and years and years. And I did not get rid of those till in my mid-20s, But those are big things that we are all gonna die. We don't know what's gonna happen afterwards. People that we love will die before us. I think about my mom just continually. I still haven't gotten over it. But it's also the little things too that we mourn. Like I threw one of my favorite frisbees into a lake on Wednesday. And like, dang, I won't ever see that again. And you gotta let it go somehow, even though it was plaid. It had that I dyed it myself, but like all those things, or that little, I don't know. I saw somebody selling kitchen witches, and they were dressed up in fabric, and I just thought, oh, after a while, that cute little thing's gonna have an inch of dust on it. It will not be the same. That kitchen witch will change, and you're gonna mourn that. Yeah. Like this used to look so cute, right? Yeah. How do we cope with all those things that happen every day? Right.
Well, and I find that interesting because I came across a post on Reddit where another blind person was talking about the frustration of being they were like older than me, like late 20s, and still not being able to like financially support themselves and move out and be independent and stuff. And so it was a lot of commiserating and kind of grieving the not being not the like grieving of like of your life not necessarily looking the same as other people's for no other reason than other people just being uninclusive and kind of it was a community kind of grieving experience because all of us were kind of in the same boat at different ages, like feeling like, ugh, it sucks to be excluded in the workforce, in one way or another. And so
Yeah. And Laura said maybe all those little griefs are practices for the big ones. And I think that's so crucial because, yes, every change, even the good changes, right? Like when you're moving and you're going to a new house and it's so great, that moment that you're standing in your empty old house, like looking at all the rooms that used to and reliving all those memories. Oh, yeah, they echo, right? Gosh, the loss you feel, the grief, even though you are going to something new and wonderful that you want, it all hurts. And that's why we have to allow the grief to move through us, right? To practice it in these small ways, maybe before the big ones hit.
A little over a year ago, I lost the father of my children. And that was like, and I'm newly recovered. I'm going on 2.5 years sober. So this was about, thank you. This was about 10 months sober. So it was pretty early on. And it was really hard to handle life on life's terms at that point, kind of. And like I went through, I feel like a lot of different stages, anger and sadness and just all of these things. But I realized, like, I don't know, for me, I realized like I had so many gifts at that point. Like I was able to be present and my children were there and I was able to show up and be a mother, and I had this community that loved me and supported me. And like by staying bogged down by that, like my heart was closed to all that. Like I still had so many gifts. And I remember like explaining it and talking about it with my children. And I tried to focus on like what we had, like the time we did have with him, like everything he did bring to our lives, like just the gratitude and the gift he was to our lives. Like I just really like that everything truly is a gift. Like it's not promised. It is not a possession. It's a gift.
Yeah. That is a beautiful piece of that truth.
9 years for me.
Nice.
They're still missing.
Well, I guess I'll say like about 4 years ago, it's like I lost my aunt, my dad's sister. Like it was tragic the way she died, and it was sudden, real tragic. And I mean, I did not handle it good. I basically experienced like all the stages of grief like pretty much all at once. It was awful. And basically it was like I just had to get out of it by like, well, life was on. And I mean, it's like by what I discovered after, like, well, the whole saying like time heals all wounds. I discovered what I was saying is true. It's just time just kept buries them deeper, but it doesn't heal the wounds.
Yeah, and I think that this is so important, that the practice of grief is really key here, and that's what the encouragement is. And for us here at Church in the Wild, we are all, one of our favorite wisdom verses is ask the animals, right? And so I just was thinking this week about the animals that we see grieve, right? Did anyone hear about that whale who carried her stillborn baby like hundreds of miles after? And elephants, yes, they'll gather together.
They like have Shiva.
Yes. And
It's actually raided a museum and got the remains out of it.
oh, wow. Elephants raided a museum to get other elephant remains. And I remember in the book we read a few years ago, The 8 Master Lessons of Nature, he talked about the wolf pack in Yellowstone and how when the head couple of the pack, when the male wolf died, the female widow in the middle of winter climbed the highest mountain to howl, like left her pack, walked through, amazing snow and wind for days to get to the top and just howl for the loss of her spouse. And that's the thing. We will not just simply move on if we suppress the grief, right? We will experience it in other ways. That congestive heart failure, right? Or other physical symptoms or emotional symptoms will start cropping up if we try to suppress all of this grief. We have to find the ways, the practices of letting it move us and move through us. And I remember, I think my biggest season of grief was 2020 and 2021, right? I mean, it was so overwhelmed by loss. Not just loss of human life that we saw, but everything suddenly changed. Every plan ended. Everything you'd been looking forward to, gone. All of the expectations and dreams we had for those 2 years were set aside. And that was huge loss, huge grief. On top of just the regular, normal stuff that kept happening. I remember Ben's cousin's wife died, and we watched her funeral on live stream. It was the most like out of body experience. Like I just couldn't, I had to disassociate to even be able to do that because it was so full of grief. And then one of my dear friends, Nancy, passed away right at the beginning of 2021. And I did her funeral on Zoom with no one else in the sanctuary with me. She was our church organist and everyone loved her. She had hundreds of students as a former music teacher who loved her, and nobody could gather physically together and mourn. And it was still so sad. And I'm so grateful that last week we did get together. She was honored at the high school, and a group of us sang some songs in her honor. And that felt finally, like years later, we were able to do that communal healing. But it's similar, I thought, to some friends I know who have struggled with long-term illness too. And Weller talks about this in his book, that long-term illness is, or any illness can be a huge source of grief, similar to what the pandemic did to everybody, right? He says, when we're in the grips of illness, a major focus in our mind is the hope of getting back to where we were before the sickness began. But we are not meant to go back. We must recognize that we have been uprooted by our cancer, our heart attack, our depression, and we have been set down on some new shore. Like any ritual process, we are meant to come out of the experience deeply changed. All change is loss of some kind, because change changes us, because we're not the same person we were before and after. Whether it's a person changing from their human form back to their spirit self, whether it's our lives changing from what we had planned or hoped, or even the changing of jobs, homes, relationships, change changes us. And grief is that transformative fire that alters us and allows our hearts to stay open to the thing that does remain, that one thing that doesn't change, which of course is love. Right? I just saw an incredible interview, Anderson Cooper being interviewed by Stephen Colbert, about his new podcast, which is something about grief, talking to people. And he said he lost his dad as a young age and had all this grief and just pushed it down, suppressed it. And he said by not feeling the pain of his loss, he never was able to feel true joy either. I know. There's another beautiful song by Zoe Mulford where she says, "There is an end to everything. The breath we take, the songs we sing. The last note rings and dies away, but the song stays sung till the end of days. Even worlds one day may die and stars burn out in an empty sky. Though time takes all that life could give, when the last light fades, our lives stay lived. All we do may be undone, but love stays loved and songs stay sung." So grief burns away the excess and leaves us changed to move forward to experience new joys, right? It's this continual cycle. And if nothing lasts, neither does death then last. So grief is necessary. And I think we do a disservice to say, oh, they're in a better place. So it's okay, like move on, time will heal all wounds. Let's just, okay, keep it going. We have to feel it. We have to do the thing. And sometimes it's physical. Sometimes it's climbing the mountain or getting a tattoo, right? To feel the physical pain of something. We need something to do to practice and feel the grief in our bodies and move through it to allow that change to bring us to the other side where we can then experience new joys. And then lose those and the cycle continues. But it is the cycle of life and the beauty of this human experience we get to share.
My name is Bill, and I'm going to give you a 10-minute meditation titled The Quiet Forest. First, take a deep breath in, and then slowly let it out. Let your eyes gently close and bring your attention inward. Let your shoulders drop, your jaw relax, and your hands rest loosely. Now imagine yourself standing at the edge of a forest. It's early morning. The sun is just beginning to rise, casting a golden glow through the trees. The light is soft and dappled, falling gently on the moss-covered ground. You step forward onto a path. The earth is cool and soft beneath your feet. With each step, you feel more grounded, more present. The air is fresh and filled with the scent of pine and earth. You can hear birds chirping in the canopy above and the faint trickle of a stream nearby. As you walk deeper into the forest, notice how quiet it becomes. There is a peace here, a sacred stillness. You are alone, but not lonely. The forest holds you, supports you. You are safe. You come to a small clearing. In the center is a smooth, flat stone, like a natural seat, and you sit down. The stone is warm from the sun. It feels grounding beneath you. You close your eyes in the forest and begin to listen to the birds, to the wind in the trees, and to the silence beneath the sound. Here, there is nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to go. You are simply here, being. With every breath, you feel yourself becoming lighter, more still, as if the forest is breathing with you. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Let yourself be held by this peaceful place for a moment longer. Now, gently begin to bring your awareness to your breath. Don't change it, just observe it. Feel the cool air as it enters through your nose and the warm air as it leaves. Let's begin a simple breathing pattern. I'll guide you through the first few rounds. It's called box breathing. It's a 4-4-4 pattern. So inhale for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then once again, hold for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do it together. Inhale, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now continue this breath pattern on your own. We'll be here in silence for a few moments while you breathe. If your mind wanders, that's okay. Gently bring it back to the breath. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Feel the rhythm. Feel the stillness it creates. Begin to deepen your breath just slightly. Gently bring your awareness back to your body, your surroundings, the space that you're in. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Roll your shoulders. Take one final deep breath in and let it out slowly. And when you're ready, softly open your eyes. Carry the peace of the forest with you as you return to your day. Know that this place of calm is always within you, ready to be visited anytime you need it. And that's it.
Thanks for listening. If you want to support Church in the Wild and the work we do in striving for environmental and social justice, just head on over to our website, churchinthewild.org, and click the donate link at the top. There you can make a donation, set yourself up as a recurring supporter, or you can buy something from our Redbubble shop. We're so glad you're with us on this journey, following the Spirit through creation, adventure, and restoration. Until next time.